Good morning, YouTube. This is Mike, the Okie Entrepreneur. Good morning. It's Monday morning, and there was some news over the weekend. I was listening to one of the news channels about the housing shortage and about, the obvious is the supply on the market's really tight, and that the U.S., I believe a couple weeks ago, the federal government announced some plans to extend using the American Relief Fund. Using some money and the voucher system through HUD and everything to try and get people into affordable housing. Well, that's all well and good, but it's really addressing symptoms of the problem and not the problem itself, which is the high cost of everything, which is, of course, inflation. And we are not going to get into who creates inflation, but this is what we got. If you're an investor and you're looking for rentals in the demographic market you're in, and we're in Tulsa. So Tulsa the metro has pretty much priced itself out of a lot of the rental market because, incomes have went up, wages have went up, but working blue class people they are not going to be able to afford $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 a month rent for a 2-bedroom. So we have some in Tulsa, but we've been looking in the smaller markets around Tulsa. Oklahoma is really just Oklahoma City and Tulsa. So I'm an Okie, so I want to talk about public housing and the lack of housing in rural areas, because there's some public housing in Tulsa, and they're just like all other government public housing. They're terrible. I'll be honest, and I feel sorry for people who have to live there. I wish I had plenty of nice homes that they could move into, but they're affordable, but it comes with a cost. And you can research this on Google or just go drive by one. So they're not the greatest places. And, and people living in apartments, I've lived in an apartment before, and you want a little house. You want that privacy. It feels good. You have a yard and stuff. But once you get outside of Tulsa and Oklahoma City, where's the public housing? For rural Oklahomans, there's housing shortages in these little towns too. People are looking for rent houses or homes in these smaller towns. This is Oklahoma, so there's a lot of people who buy a little bit of land and throw a mobile home on it. This is a mobile home country, because that is a great alternative, because there's not a lot of homes being built. So one thing I did notice, that one part of the program is the U.S. government through HUD is giving out expanding the voucher program by 19,000 in the entire U.S. Now there's some other stuff. You could look it up, 19,000. So per NPR, the actual shortage is 3.8 million. All right, so drop in the bucket, but that's something. It's better than nothing. So over the weekend, we are going to Bartlesville, rehabbing a property, and there is a motel on South 75 that's been boarded up for probably 2-3 years, and it's probably not but maybe 12 years old, so it was in service for a while. And I don't understand why the government doesn't work with private investing groups to create good public housing by renovating these large hotels that are boarded up and sitting there empty. That is a ton of 40, 50, 60 one-bedroom apartments, energy efficient, just with a minor rehab in each of them. Some of them might have kitchenettes, but it's always after the fact that the government wants to come in and help, instead of getting ahead of the problem and working with private investors, small investors. So I don't believe in much there's just no tax incentives, and there's no financial incentives for the banks to loan on something like this. It's just too risky. And that's what I see in a lot of these mid-sized towns in Oklahoma, are empty hotels that could be renovated and turn into little one-bedroom apartments, for people on their first rental. So when you're a kid, maybe you're not going to go to college. Maybe you're staying at home. You have to find a job, and you're not going to be able to afford much of a rental. You're staying at home, or maybe some of your friends get together and do that. But I would really like to see the government take steps to work with the private industry through tax incentives, because you're an investor and the tax burden is a big deal. Property tax, income tax. If they want to work with the private industry on financing, because the results of housing from the government, to me, is not as good as the results of people like me, small time guys, just creating good affordable housing for people up through larger companies. I just think we offer superior products to the customer, and so tell me what you think. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel. And I worry about, because I've seen it over the last 2 years. And how do you guys feel? Do you see where rents are outpacing income, and that people are not able to afford rent? Are you buying at a 1% rent ratio and barely cash flowing? And then just because of the prices of these houses are still too high. I see they're sitting on the market a while, but I don't think there's a housing shortage. There's just a disconnect of getting people into housing. And I think if you let entrepreneurs and the American entrepreneur kind of take this problem and work with him, instead of making it a political issue for housing, I think we could solve this problem one way or another. But those are my thoughts. So like I said, hope you had a good weekend, everybody. Now go find your next deal.